Hello. All right, ready? Yep. 959 242 2343.
What, three?
Yep. And the password?
Yep.
191 295. It was there a second ago. Oh, there it is. Yep.
So we got that.
Yeah, you gotta click join.
And then you're connected by HDMI now?
Well, now we gotta plug it in, right?
Sorry. I was gonna come over and ask about the website, but I will refrain and come back. Yeah, well, this is over here.
I can do.
That side is.
That must be the other side. There's no port on the sides.
Is that HDMI connection?
What happened to Joe? Now, I do not have that file that we wanted to protect, so I cannot do it. Because it's on this computer.
Which file?
You have to ask Ellen, get the hell out.
Oh, okay, I'll have Ellen come back over.
No way for me to throw it.
All right. I think she has a device she can connect.
Is there email on this?
No.
She has a flash drive though.
Okay.
I've met.
Pardon the interruption. We had to switch computers.
Right.
So we'll need you to plug in your flash drive to get your
I'm
presentation.
telling you. I need to revisit work. I'm going
The Canva website?
about the memorial. Yeah.
Yeah. I should be able to type it in, but like, this is more complicated, so.
Can you send the file with the presentation via email?
Ellen's got it on a flash drive.
That laptop,
Oh, that laptop doesn't have it?
no, that's,
The HP, you should be able to. plug
it should be, yeah, well,
Yeah.
okay. Do you have it on the flash drive, right?
Yes, you want me to.
Everybody there in person can hear me? To those that are physically at
So Paul, you're still logged in to Zoom, so you gotta log out of Zoom.
Okay, before I could hear, I think from Paul's login, but now it says that there's audio from the post computer, whatever's logged into that, but there's no sound connected to it. If you can unmute it, Paul.
Hey, Paul, Ashton here. I'm on my way, but I thought I'd log in since it's going to take me another 30 minutes to get there.
Oh boy, Ashton, you're in for a trip.
It's Ashton, by the way, if you missed that.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. And Ashton, I saw your email, but I was in transit yesterday, so I was not able to.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I was just curious as a new guy. I said that last week and just not really sure on the
Yeah,
process.
I'm back in New York next week, so I'll give you a call.
Okay. That'd be great. Thanks. Yeah, I drove to work because I work on Wall Street in that area, thinking, well, that seems close to Staten Island. Why go all the way back to Harlem and then try to drive to Staten Island? But I parked in one of those garages that has the elevator, and I didn't account for that, so I had to wait for 20 minutes just to get my car. Otherwise, I would have been close to being on time.
And it is closer down there. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so much closer, but with everybody leaving at the exact same moment, 5 o'clock,
Mm-hmm.
and Paul, you were like
Yeah.
clear on the other side of the island.
We can't hear anything from the post. We can't hear anything from
Oh,
the session
okay,
there.
okay, yeah, I
I
was
see that you
wondering.
guys are muted. Can you guys try unmuting it? No, we can't hear
Hi,
anything. I see
Michael.
you talking,
I
but
see
not.
Michael.
Hey, everybody.
There you are. Okay.
Yay.
All right. So I'm gonna turn the laptop around so you all can see everybody in the room.
Great.
Okay, and is the commissioner there, Michael? Michael, I see Ellen. Is the commissioner there though?
I think we're gonna get started. So the speaker only has so much range, so you might want to move a little
There's
closer.
plenty of seats in the front.
I
It
know
isn't like school.
It's not, yeah, there, you beat me to the show.
Katie, want to start?
Yes.
Hmm?
I would think so, yeah.
Okay. Mercedes, whenever you're ready.
Okay, I can see everybody, so I'm just gonna wait for people to get situated. And then is the commissioner there?
Commissioner is en route from Albany. Just called me. He isn't here yet.
Okay, does he have like an ETA, just so I can know who to put first in the order
Sometime
of
within the next
presenters?
hour.
What's that? What's that?
Sometime with, please, we need one person talking. Sometime with, hey, quiet. Sometime within the next hour.
Uh-oh, okay.
So whenever you want to start.
Okay, thank you, Paul, for representing the VAB there in person, and good evening to everybody who has joined us for this session of the New York City Veterans Advisory Board. My name is Mercedes Elias. I'm the chair of the Veterans Advisory Board, Marine Corps veteran. We always start our meetings by having the Veterans Advisory Board members who are present introduce themselves. So Paul, if you want to start, and then have anybody that is there in person presenting, and then we'll have everybody that's virtual.
Okay, Paul Dietrich, Army veteran. Anyone else from the VAB here? That's it.
Okay, and virtually, Ashton.
Hi, Ashton Stewart, Navy veteran, first Gulf War. I'm on my way en route to be in person, but for, right now I'm in virtual mode. Thank you.
Thank you. And we would like to thank our elected officials and the representatives for joining us today. I see a few of them on virtually, as well as any of those who are present. One of the major items that we recently completed and released was the 2024 end of year report that has been published on DVS's website, or if it hasn't, it should have been. So you can access that just to see what initiatives we've been working with the City Council and the Mayor's administration to address that were brought up during the calendar year 2024, and what we're going to be looking to follow up with DVS and see their progress on throughout 2025. One of the presenters that we wanted to have today is Cassandra Alvarez, who works with the Department of Veteran Services. She is spearheading the efforts for the post 9/11 memorial for New York City. So Cassandra, I will turn it over to you to do just a brief update on the memorial.
Thank you, Mercedes. Can everybody hear me?
Loud and clear.
Do we have Canva loaded?
I, it will take me a minute.
Okay, all right, so we'll get the presentation loaded up. But I'm Cassandra, I'm the chief of staff at the Department of Veteran Services. I've been serving with the agency for 8 years now, and it's still up next month will be 8 years, so it's been quite some time. It's been an honor and a privilege. I'm here to talk about the post 9/11 fallen service member memorial that our office is spearheading the development of. So that memorial, which we're going to pull up a rendering of in a few minutes, is going to be erected in Whitestone, Queens, right on the waterfront. If folks are familiar with Whitestone, I know it's far away from here, but it will be at the intersection of Utopia Parkway and Priders Lane. So right on the waterfront, where there's a nice tranquil space for reflection and to honor these fallen service members. It is a residential area as well. So we have been communicating with the neighborhood, the Whitestone Greater Taxpayer Association, the community board about what's going to go there. So last year, Mayor Adams announced that this memorial would be commissioned and built. And that happened over Memorial Day in 2024. And this past Memorial Day over Fleet Week, at the Fleet Week breakfast is what we call it, that happens at Gracie Mansion, the mayor unveiled the design concept for this memorial. And it's a very beautiful design that we're very excited about. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about it. But the purpose of presenting it all to you here is to get additional feedback and thoughts about what we are building. So, the designer of the memorial is actually, the son of a World War II veteran. He is one of the most renowned bronze sculptors in the United States. He was hailed by Joe Biden as being one of America's premier artists. And bronze sculpting is a lost art. Not a lot of people know how to do it. So he was selected through a public process that our office conducted in conjunction with the Department of Cultural Affairs. So, to touch on the parties that are sort of involved in this project, it's our office, DBS, Department of Cultural Affairs. I mentioned them before. They're helping us with the artist selection and the design concept refinement. You can also pull it up on the DBS website if
Okay.
you want, nyc.gov/vet memorial. They have a convenient shortcut. The Department of Transportation are the real estate holders. It's on their land that this is going to be built. And then the EDC, the Economic Development Corporation, are the funding mechanism. Essentially, they're taking in the funds and they're going to help us with passing those funds through to the artists who will be contracted with the EDC to complete the design work and the fabrication of the actual memorial. This is part of a larger process or project that's going on at that site to raise the seawall to protect the homes that are there. We all know what happened during Sandy. I know Sandy hit Staten Island. It also hit Whitestone pretty badly. So the DOT has federal funding, as is the EDC, all earmarked to redo this area. They're also going to beautify the area. They're making a bike lane, a pedestrian plaza. And so this area can also accommodate a public artwork. And so when we learned that, our office saw the stars align and we said, hey, if there's going to be a public artwork there, why don't we dedicate it to our veterans, specifically those who were killed in action during the post 9/11 war. So right now we are tracking about 99 service members who will be honored from New York City who died during those combat operations. We have a part on our website. Could you scroll down for me actually, just so I can point that out to folks, and then I'll go back to the design. So that red bar right there actually links to a form where people can submit the name of their loved one if they qualify from being from New York City. We're qualifying being from New York City as someone who lived, worked, or was from New York City. And you can submit their name and then we will verify that they do qualify to be listed on the memorial, and then we'll make sure that they are included. I will give you a quick example of someone who worked in New York City. So the last VAB meeting that we had in Queens, a gentleman came, he drove all the way from New Hampshire to make sure that his son was going to be honored on the memorial. Turns out we did have his name already on the list, but his son was a stockbroker down at Wall Street. And so he had a very close tie, though he was from New Hampshire. He worked on Wall Street for like 20 years. So we're including him and his name is listed. So if you click on that, you can, if you'd like. It'll show you the list of names that we're already tracking. Oh, sorry, I think it's in another, that's the form itself. Oh, I'm sorry, you know what? Go up to the link that says eligibility criteria. You see it right there? Yes. That will have the list of the names included. Yeah, and that's the full list of names there. We also have one of our VAB members, Mecca Nelson. Her husband was killed in action in Iraq, and Mario Nelson is included there. So I'll talk a little bit about the design, and then I'll open it up for any questions or comments. You could go back to the home page, please, Mike. Thank you. And then that's a small picture. I think we have some better pictures, though. If you scroll down. Memorial design concept, tap on that for me. Thank you so much. Okay. So the memorial itself is supposed to be about 40 feet high. And the circumference of the plaza around it is supposed to be about 60 feet. The arcs that you see that raise up to the sky are made out of brushed aluminum. And then around the arcs, you'll see these figures. They're supposed to be, they're buglers right now, but we got some feedback that maybe they should be sort of standing guard. represent all the branches of the military. And they're supposed to be cast in bronze, and they're supposed to be about life size. At the center of the arc, you'll see a folded flag. I've got some feedback from folks saying that that flag is unfolded correctly, so I'm following that. We are following that. I think that the artist wanted the stars and stripes to show, but if we get feedback from the community that that is really an issue, we will make sure that that is rectified. Again, this is a design concept. It's not the final design. That is supposed to be made of mosaic. And then at the top, you will see a lit flame. That flame is supposed to be lit 24/7, 365 with LED lights behind stained glass. And it's meant to be seen from the Whitestone Bridge and the surrounding area. It's to be determined right now where the names are actually going to go. That is still being refined as well. And then we're also thinking about where there could be seating, because there's not really benches there right now, so we'll incorporate seating into the design. It isn't a part of Queens that is not that accessible by public transportation, and I realize it's a little bit of a rub with the community right now, but we're going to try to find ways to make it more accessible. I think that there's always possibilities to talk to the MTA. They've been great partners with us for some of our special projects. So we will work through those things. In terms of next steps, we're collecting feedback at meetings like this, public forums like this, where there are veterans who can give us ideas, thoughts. And then this is going to go through the official Public Design Commission process, which is a lengthier process that involves a board of commissioners that are appointed through the city. They take the design, they refine it, they open it up for an official public hearing. If the public hearing goes well and everyone says they like the design, then it goes back. And then I think they refine it a little bit further. And then ultimately they will issue a notice to build for the city. We can't build it until we get a notice to build from the Public Design Commission. Sorry, my voice is getting a little hoarse. So that's pretty much it. We do have a group of advisory board members who have helped us select this design concept. The Allis family is a part of that group, obviously because of their son's sacrifice. Mecca Nelson is a part of it. Emily Toro, whose son was killed in action, is also a part of it. She's a Gold Star mother. And then we have other representatives from the community who donated their time and volunteered to help us refine this design concept. So I will stop right there to see if anybody has any thoughts, input. And if you don't have anything that comes to mind right now, you're always free to email me. Can somebody put my email address in the chat? Not sure if that's possible, but you can reach me at calvarez, CALVAREZ @veterans.nyc.gov. So I'll open the floor to see if there's any questions or thoughts.
Any idea of when?
So it's probably going to take about 2 years to build. We're going to be able to go into contract with the artist this July. And that's largely thanks to Queensborough President Donovan Richards. He committed $3 million of public funding to support this. We're going to get 1.5 million this fiscal year and then 1.5 million next fiscal year. So FY26, FY27. So come July, we'll be able to contract with the artist. There's going to be a lot of design refinement, and that's expensive when you work with an artist of that caliber. Also, one other thing I forgot to mention, this is the same artist who designed the America's Response Memorial that's down at 9/11, the World Trade Center site. It's a special forces officer on horseback. It's a really beautiful sculpture. So, you know, he definitely has the background to this work. Any other questions? Okay, and you can always email me, or you can reach out to the office if you have any ideas, if you have any thoughts about other people that should be involved in the process. By all means, we want to involve the community and get their input. Thank you so much.
Mercedes,
Thank you,
I understand.
Cassandra.
I understand the
Good.
commission online if you want to have him speak next.
Yep, that is exactly who I was going to go to.
Okay, sorry.
Commissioner Hendon, we will turn it over to you now.
Hey, can you guys hear me? Can you see me?
Yes.
Hey,
Gotta get
no, thank you so much.
podcasted.
So happy to be here. So, just a couple of updates. And just once again, about that memorial presentation at Cascade, information will always be updated at nyc.gov/vet-memorial. So any questions folks have, it's at nyc.gov/vet-memorial. Just a couple of things I'll mention. For us, I want to just start with talking about some upcoming events that DVS is very much, just helping to organize so folks know about these things. To begin, I just want to speak to the Army's 250th birthday. We know the birthday is going to be on this Saturday, as far as June 14th is the 250th birthday of the Army. There'll be a special event at Gracie Mansion after the birthday on Thursday, June 26th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And more details we put out about that, but just acknowledging the Army's birthday at Gracie Mansion on Thursday, June 26th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Also want to call out that having another event at Gracie recognizing Gold Star Wives of America and their 80th anniversary. They'll be doing something nice for them. Also an event at Gracie Mansion on Friday, July 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Once again, that's Friday, July 18th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And once again, more information will come out as that approaches. Also want to say that we will do something to honor our missing in action from Vietnam. There are 36 New York City veterans who are missing in action from the Vietnam War, and we'll be recognizing them at a special event that'll be at St. Albans National Cemetery, so the Columbarium at St. Albans in Queens, and that's going to be on Friday, September 19th at 1:30 p.m. That's POW MIA Day is Friday, September 19th, and at 1:30 p.m. that day, we're going to be honoring our 36 missing in action Vietnam War veterans. And then something else too is in the fall, we are working to put together a veteran film festival featuring short films that are created by veterans, and that will be on Friday, October 24th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So Friday, October 24th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. So just speaking of things that we are working on in the coming months to put those out there. I'll pause for any questions on events before moving on.
Commissioner, can I just ask, is there a comprehensive list of events or a calendar on the DVS website?
For us, it's about putting this stuff on ourveterans.nyc. And so what we're getting the muscle memory of doing, and we encourage other groups to put information on ourveterans.nyc. So if it's not there yet, you'll see that soon from us. We want to have one space where all community members can put their events up so everyone else can see what everybody's doing. So that's ourveterans.nyc. So yeah. Okay. As far as other just updates on some of the work for us, I just want to call out that in mid-May we shared veteran contact information with our local and state elected officials, and so as of May 15th, all city council members have access to the data that we have as far as all the veterans we know of in a council member's district. That council member has access to share it with the speaker, and the speaker is now sharing that with those members. For the assembly, similar thing. We shared it with the speaker for the assembly. Now all in the New York City delegation can receive that information who are assembly members for all the veterans in their assembly district. And then for the Senate, same thing with the majority leader for Senate. We shared it with that leader. And now all senators in the New York City delegation can receive information about the veterans in their districts. We're working the federal sharing agreement. The House, they have their own internal ethics folks at the federal level to make sure that everything's above board with them receiving it as far as the congressmen and the senators. And we also, as of just yesterday, we finished the deal with our final president. It was the Brooklyn Borough President's Office was the last for us to do this data sharing with. With the borough presidents, we not only share the borough presidents, like here's everything for that borough, the borough presidents also have it broken out by community board district, and they are able to share with the community boards. And an elected, if they so desire, can say, look, rather than go back to my majority leader for this, let me just go to my borough president, because the BP has this stuff cut up in all ways. And so we've been intentional about trying to get this information to our electeds. We would like for them to have this info from us at least 2 times per year. They'll get drops from us. So in the time leading up to Memorial Day, the time leading up to Veterans Day, our goal is to constantly give them what we have as far as information so we can all collaborate. I encourage anyone here who's with a veteran service organization, if you're doing events or activities, reach out to those local elected officials because they have all this contact information. While we can't share it with you, they can be good partners with you as far as events to help get the word out. So that's something just to report. Another thing to report is, our Vet Connect NYC. This is the services portal, the online services portal that we have that we'll be launching our back end technology platform for that. We'll be launching in July. And so after going through a lengthy process on the procurement side, we now work with Combined Arms, which is a veteran-owned organization and a veteran supporting organization to help with these types of digital referrals. And so we'll see the New Look Vet Connect launched in July, and more to follow on that. We're really excited about that effort. Paul, something that you said that we took to heart is making sure that it's constant follow-up on referrals that are rendered, or if anyone here says, let me refer a veteran, what happened with that referral I gave you, we'll be able to answer that riddle here and other things. And so we're very excited with the Vet Connect launch as far as the reboot. Another thing to announce, starting in the next fiscal year, DVS will process all $20,000 and less council discretionary contracts. So whenever any group receives funding from the city council, and it's to do anything that involves veterans, and the dollar amount is $20,000 or less, that will be processed by DVS. The reason they set our organization up years ago was because veterans were rallying outside of City Hall because they wanted an organization to do contracting with. They felt like it was a beast to deal with the larger agencies when they won discretionary funding. They wanted their own agency. That was the initial reason why folks organized for us to be formed. And so we're so happy to see this come to reality now. We did about 4 contracts last year to get our handle on this, just to taste it. And now we're ready to go all in as far as getting these larger contracts that flow through us. Another one, speaking of a contract-related issue, I think it will be addressed more during the healthcare portion, but flagging that money's tied to Dwyer, New York City, or the Joseph P. Dwyer program, as embodied here in New York City. That money has been pushed out constantly now. We had 31 different projects that had applied, and we've been sending the funding out for those projects in real time through state funding, where the purpose of the Joseph P. Dwyer program is to normalize help-seeking behavior amongst veteran and military families. So any community building activities that are presented by our veteran organizations, we've been supporting, and we're happy to see that money go out. More details are at nyc.gov/vetdwyer. And so those are some of the big hits as far as, things that to report. I'll pause if there are any questions, and I'm going to kind of go into the scorecard, a little bit of a survey scorecard, and then I'm done on this as far as my update. But I'll pause for any comments, any questions.
Commissioner, just a question on the. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Okay. Didn't you have an update on the Cold War veterans tax break?
Okay, so yep, thanks for reminding me of that. All right, so just to level set, different property tax exemptions available for veterans. Right now, the city of New York only adopts 2 of the 3. The one that they have not adopted yet officially is the property tax exemption for those who served during peacetime eras. So think about people who served during the gap between World War II and Korea, the gap between Korea and Vietnam, and most notably the gap between Vietnam and Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Everyone who served from Desert Shield, Desert Storm is considered a Gulf War era veteran. So this is all an ongoing combat era. So the Cold War property tax exemption is something that is getting ready to be passed in July, which will allow for that 3rd exemption for our veterans, for those who served during peacetime eras. It's going to age effectively on July 24th now. And so what we're learning is, as of once we get to July,
You're breaking up.
we set stage, shoot, can you guys hear me now? Hello?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I'm in a tunnel right now. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hello?
You're good.
Mercedes, Paul, can you guys hear me yet? Let me know when you can. I'll keep going.
We can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Uh-oh. I think we lost
And
him.
as soon as we could hear, we could not hear. Yeah. He might be going through the tunnel until we get him back. Just Joseph Dunphy, just so you're aware, Michael Bocchini, they're in.
Hey, can you hear me now? All right, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. We can hear you.
Yes, hallelujah. Sorry. What was the last thing you guys heard?
July
What's up?
24th.
All right, so yeah, got it. Thank you. All right, so, oh man, I'm going back in the tunnel. Long story short, that 3rd property tax exemption is going to be on the table for our people, and it will begin the process of becoming law on July 24th. All right.
Oh. I think we lost him again.
Okay, I'll finish. Yeah, I'll finish what I have, and then I'll just do the follow up.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Listen, I am going through a tunnel. I'll be out of it, and I'll be back online. I'm just going through one tunnel, and I'll be out of it in just a minute. Yeah.
Likely.
So yeah, I'm gonna mute myself, but I'll be out of this tunnel like a minute. Sorry, and that should be open freely from this point on.
Mike, do you?
Yep,
wanna
so the only thing that I was gonna add was, if you wrote a comment, regarding the memorial, Michael Bacini has flagged that for Cassandra, so she did see the comments that have been submitted for that, just as an FYI. And then for the commissioner, because I believe you can still hear us, even though we can't hear you. My only question is the process for applying for the discretionary funding for approval. Where can, anybody within the community apply for that discretionary funding?
Hey, Mercedes, can you hear me? Okay, so here we go. It's nyc.gov/vet council funding. nyc.gov/vet council funding. The caveat, discretionary funding, the window is every February. So it's not going to open up again until February. But anyone who needs help, time, we'll match you with our friends at LaGuardia Community College who provide this assistance. So if you have the idea, we can help you get through the administrative piece, but it's nyc.gov/vet council funding. We can see all the information that's up on that.
Got it.
Anybody have questions about the property tax exemption? Just like I said, it's the period, the window for which you can apply for a property tax exemption. It's from mid-September through March 15th. And so this is landing in a way where when we talk about the upcoming mid-September to March 15th, it will be law that you can, if you're a peacetime era veteran, apply and obtain that property tax exemption. We estimate roughly 10,000 veterans will benefit from this. So we're really, optimistic.
Commissioner, my name is Mike Iannuso. I'd like to read something that I brought in today, not expecting to hear what you just said. May I read it to you?
Yeah, go for it, Mike.
All right, it says, "Good evening, all. Thank you for your sacrifices and service to our country. I'd like to welcome the Veterans Advisory Board who help us when possible. My name is Mike Iannuso. I'm a 4-year U.S. Navy veteran and earned an honorable discharge on board the aircraft carrier John F. Kennedy. Throughout those 4 years, we practiced for war and conflicts. The reason why I'm speaking is because New York City doesn't recognize Cold War veterans who served. I'm speaking out so Cold War veterans can be recognized as true veterans and receive the Cold War property tax exemption as other veterans do. It's already a state law, Commissioner. You know that as well. You were at a meeting that I was at when I went to City Hall, and I was honored to be there for the first time in my life. But it's already a state law, except in New York City's 5 boroughs. To make this law immediately effective is for Speaker Adrian Adams to put this on the calendar for a vote by all our council members, then vote yes, and then done. It's law. It would be about a $650 savings on my $6,500 property tax. So we need for New York City to opt in. So I want to thank everyone for listening. And my question to you is that already done? Did they have that election at City Hall where all our council members voted yes for New York City to opt in?
So, Mike, good question. And thank you so much for your advocacy, brother. Thank you for this has been a long time coming. We appreciate you for this, for just continue to just fight here. So the state is going to be on coming up on June 30th. We're tied in, and I was hoping they'd get it done by that next stated. So what happens is, if it's June 30th, then certain things need to have been done by June 18th. We got word just yesterday, I think it was the day before, that they're going to put this into the stated that's going to occur on July 24th. And that leads to all the final edits need to be submitted by July 17th. No one has any edits. It's really about it has to go through a process for the council before it gets put up to the vote. Nothing changes the fact that when you get to that September window, that September to March window, you're going to be in a good place as far as this will be law. And so I was hoping to be able to get on this call and say, hey, we're on a glide path where it's officially voted and all that's done June 30th, but it looks like it'll be July 24th. But still, everything will be in a good place for you as far as this is done. And so we should be set.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
We have another question here, Commissioner.
Yep. No, man.
So I'm doing this for the VA and part of being a veteran. So I got veterans right now that served 20 years in the Guard, or they served in Army Reserves. Their only DD-14 was when they were first in basic. They don't get no other DD-14 except a retirement letter. It looks like a lot of them apply for benefits, especially officers, and officers don't get DD-14s. So now, is there any way that we can help them get NGB 22 to be accepted as DD-14? Because as being a Guard,
Yeah,
they serve 20
I got
years.
it. Let me do, Sammy, I got this one with triage. I'll check with finance. This came up already. We flagged this already for finance as far as looking at alternate ways to check it for guardsmen or reservists, especially we know our enlisted, regular and all guard throughout your time. You don't get that. So this is something we were talking with finance about. Check and see what's happening there. But I could have sworn this issue came to us and we recommended that they go with these other forms to verify and we'll be okay. So I'll check and see what's happening there because I believe that this got triaged. But I thank you for flagging this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Anything else, Commissioner?
If you have, if it's okay, if we have time for it, Paul, Mercedes, wanted to kind of go through just a few updates as far as what's been going with the scorecard, and I want to discuss a few updates as far as the survey that we recently did, as far as the veteran and military community, survey. I just wanted to state some things as far as what we do from it, what we're doing, et cetera, if that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so for the scorecard, a couple of key points that were provided as recommendations. We thank the council for this. One was publish the data privacy status for the agency. Know that we're working on that. We'll announce when that's done. We'll make sure the board knows. We'll announce it at the meeting when that occurs as far as putting online. And it'll probably be on nyc.gov/vet reports, where we have all of our data that we publicly report. We talk about data privacy and what we do and our policies there. Another one was a request to put our short-term and long-term goals in a public place. So we're working to get that up. So we'll have the short-term goals and long-term goals for the agency listed online, and just something that we socialize more so folks know what we're doing. It doesn't seem like a black box. Another is the Vet Connect launch hits many different recommendations that touch data and understanding our performance and operations. And so we're very excited about the work with Combined Arms. And we incorporated a lot of the feedback from the scorecard into that. So we're really looking forward to seeing how that goes. And it's about the back and forth, the feedback from you all as the Veterans Advisory Board and the veteran community to make sure we're sticking the landing there. So that's scorecard as far as big ticket things from the scorecard. I'll pause for any comments before talking about survey. All right, silence is golden. I'll go into the survey. nyc.gov/vet survey is where you can find the survey that we did of the veteran and military community. It is our 2024-2025 veteran and community survey. It's nyc.gov/vet survey. Every 4 years, at a minimum, this agency must do a survey of the veteran community, and this is the most recent one. A couple of takeaways for us, just to hit some of the highlights. Things that we suspected that got confirmed through the survey. Top issue for our veteran community is access to housing, particularly affordable housing. It's a top need when everyone is asked. The name in New York City was access to housing. Another one that we suspected was confirmed. We've got a lot of folks who are on the edge as far as do I stay or do I go from New York City. 44% of respondents said, hey, they want to stay. 13% said they were uncertain. 42% said they plan to leave. And so this is a big deal for us. How do we get folks to live, learn, and work in New York? And it's not just younger veterans. You got older veterans getting priced out and younger veterans as they start families and grow feeling like it. So that's something else that was confirmed in the survey. Another piece, self-identification is an issue. We usually use VA data when we talk about self-ID, numbers, but we got that confirmed with the survey too. 22% of New York City veterans will tell someone they meet for the first time they're a veteran. Everybody else does not. 28% will tell an associate, or let's call it an acquaintance, like a neighbor, a work colleague, a fellow student, etc. So that's still not that many of us telling people that they've served. And so we're trying to do everything we can to get at the meat of that, to be right with our folks. Things that we learned. So 3 things that were just new for us. Of those who are not self-IDing, Many of them said, look, you can get me back. They can be reclaimed. It was 73% said, if you come at me the right way and with the right services and the right approach, et cetera, I'm likely to come back in ID and come into the light. Another thing we noticed that was a new piece for us, a lot of folks are satisfied with their healthcare options in the city. So between that question, what gives you the most trouble, folks at housing, at the very bottom, with less than 1%, was healthcare. There was another question, what are the top 3 things you appreciate about your veterans' benefits? And healthcare was one of those top 3. So we saw a lot of satisfaction with that. And then another thing that was almost a newer thing to us to hear it confirmed was issue with a lot of our veterans as far as why people aren't getting involved with things. People feel like all of their identities are not seen. In other words, yeah, I'm a veteran, but I'm also Black. Yeah, I'm a veteran, I'm also a woman. Yeah, I'm a veteran, I'm also Jewish, etc. And so how can we be smart about engaging our people? And maybe it's not that it's a straight up and down veterans play. Maybe it's that faith center is the way that we get a hold of them. Maybe it is that civic group that is the way that we get a hold of them, et cetera. And so those are some of the pro tips from the survey. And we're going to keep teasing this out and trying to learn more. I'll say that was part 1 of this. Part 2 is we're putting together focus groups with veterans who originally, folks are in that group that do not self-identify normally. We've been finding people like this and trying to speak with them to take their thoughts on what we can do to be better at having them identify. We've got a lot of data on folks who just transitioned from DOD. And so many of those folks, you've got people who can call themselves in that bucket often. We've got people we're encountering on the housing side who through other means we know they're in that same bucket where they didn't want to identify, and we kind of reaching out, working with our partners, other agencies, and just other veterans whom we're saying, hey, do you know somebody who typically doesn't tell someone they're a veteran? Would they be interested in talking to us so we can figure out how we can turn them around? And so right now, that's the phase of things, is focus groups with that group. Open to any wisdom and thoughts from you guys on this. And that's all I got as far as updates from DVS.
I have some feedback for
Commissioner,
you.
yes. Oh, go ahead, Paul.
Okay, as of today, the money for the Dwyer program here on Staten Island has still not gotten to the provider here. That's as of today. So you said it's being pushed out, but it isn't here.
Well, I got to check my stuff. My people are telling me that money's already been sent to SIPPS. We got to do our homework, and we talk offline. But yeah, I was tracking it at least a week or more ago. That money got pushed to the group that is a recipient of it. I can't speak to what's gotten to the actual in the yoga project and the Gold Star Post, but we'll take it offline and get back to it. But I was notified at least a week ago, if not more, that money, like, it's not with us anymore. It's been physically sent downrange.
Must be coming by a horse back.
Carry a pigeon. We'll do our homework. We'll do our homework and get you a response. But I literally was notified as soon as the money was remitted. So we'll figure out what's going on there. But I appreciate you flagging that. Yeah. Anybody else?
Yeah, Commissioner, yesterday the Committee on Veterans had a hearing on self-identification. So what information was presented at the committee hearing yesterday, and what are the suggested remedies for it?
If it's okay with you, I want to give a more comprehensive answer, but I'll just say briefly, we started by saying that for self-identification, this is an issue across geographies and across time, pointing out examples from the Civil War era through World War I, through World War II to the present of this being an issue. We also talked about things as far as what we suspect is going on, our own theories behind these things. For us, things like, that what I always say in speeches, for some veterans, it's a height of humility. I'm too humble to tell someone I've served. For others, it's, people assume that something is wrong with me. If I tell them I've served, they think I'm broken, and I don't want to just have all these stereotypes tied to me, so I don't want to say anything. Another one is something was done to me, or I did something in the service, and I put that in a box. I don't want to walk anywhere near it. And so those are some things as far as we put, as far as what we've suspected. Then we switched and talked about things that we believe we've seen from the community. We said things like, when it comes to just you all with the VAB, this constant clamoring for more veterans to be involved in the political process and in policy making. It's just indicative of us not having a lot of people come out, that there are no council members who are veterans is an issue we need to talk about and deal with. We flagged the survey, and that point I mentioned the survey about the VA numbers and how it dovetailed with our own research, and then about how roughly 73% of vets say that they can be brought back as far as things that we're being told. We also talked about, when we look at our VSO posts, oftentimes you see this aging population within the VSOs, and that's indicative of not enough veterans or this next group of veterans self-IDing and getting the mix. We talked about how boiler violations, the top thing across many of our posts that give them issues with the buildings department as far as things that we've been seeing. And so we then, went into, and forgive me, I got to go through my notes to be more descriptive. We went into some of the different remedies for us. We talked about this idea of partnering with our government and with our community partners to have them ask the question, have you served in the military? Has someone in your family served in the military? We also talked about, this is something the chair was big on, trying to work with, open media opportunities. Chair Holden said, look, you've got billboards out here that aren't being used. Why not have information up there about the veterans so we can try to find other means to get at people where more I can see the information. We talked about what we've been doing with data as far as getting information where anyone who's leaving the military and comes to New York, we know who they are. Anyone who tells the military they're leaving, that they're coming to New York, we know who they are. So we can keep tying in with folks. And then we said, look, we just got to outright earn this. We have to, through the programs we offer, create an environment that's enticing enough for veterans to say, look, I'm going to come out. I see something doing in claims, something doing in education, take advantage. We pointed out the mismatch in this hearing also, that what's tough with this, veterans are all identities, all religions, all disability statuses, all ages, all creeds, etc. Meanwhile, you have this myriad of benefits between healthcare, housing, culture, education, employment, and whatnot. And so how can you find something that hits and that is viral when you have so many disparate sub-communities, and each sub-community, each person has their own? This is not as simple as the USAA example we pointed out, where USAA is intentional about this, but they're only selling banking, they're only selling finance products. And so they just plow that through hard. But what about if you've got folks who may have another need that we have to deal with? It could be the burial side of things. It could be the healthcare side of things. It could be the mental health side of things, et cetera. And so that's kind of in a nutshell some of the things we discussed. I'll go through my notes to give more, but it was really hinging on, how can we work with empowering other stakeholders to ask these questions, to bring people in the fold. It was, how can we try to meet veterans through these different identities? It may not be a straight up and down veteran equation to bring somebody in, but through something else. And how can we be intentional with our data? We also talked about all this work.
You froze.
Okay, we'll wait for the commissioner to get back online. In the meantime, we will go ahead and have Ellen Greeley, I believe, who is presenting each meeting. We do want to have the focus area for one of the charters for DDS be presented. And for this session, it is going to be healthcare. So Ellen, we will go ahead and turn it over to you.
Oh, I'm back. Okay. Hey, can you hear me now? Sorry, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me now? Yeah, I was just saying, I was just ending with the data stuff. What we're doing to share this data is important as far as making sure that all these different stakeholders who are government, who we can share with, have this information about their veterans in their districts. Because if we're doing this, reaching out, if the assemblyman's reaching out, if the senator's reaching out, if the congressman's reaching out, if the borough president's reaching out, if the community board is reaching out, if the city councilman is reaching out, at some point, more of our people will come into the fold. And so, that's kind of where we were. And then the other one, just want to say this, we went through the numbers. New York City is not alone with this. The top 10 cities in America also, by the VA's standard of self-identification, are within the same band that we're in. Like it's between 23% to 36% is the rate for the top 10 cities in America. And so we're at 24%. So this is, once again, this is like old school that goes back over 100 years, and it's all over America. So yeah, I'll pause for any thoughts or any comments.
Commissioner, we're going to wait. We're actually going to turn it over to Ellen now.
All right. Thanks.
Yes, you come up here to hear us.
Yes,
Okay.
microphone.
Okay. Thanks. So I wanted to introduce you to Dr. Lauren DeMello, who happens to be our executive director of our community mental health program. And we're gonna do an Ellen and Lauren show tonight. We much prefer to do it on the bar stool, but that's a different story. So anyway, in the meantime, for those that haven't received a presentation, does anybody want some additional paper to take that?
No.
And I do apologize that we weren't able to share the PowerPoint. We had some technical difficulties switching between Windows and Microsoft. But we will get the presentation to the VAB so we can distribute that to the members of the VAB. And anybody who would like a copy emailed to them, if you put your email address into the chat, we'll make sure to email you a copy.
Great, thank you. So we have 4 buckets that we're going to talk about tonight. One is our DVS direct service programs, our suicide prevention programs, which also dovetail with a number of federal and state programs, programs for providers, and the entry points and contact information for you to our veterans to meet us in the field in the cases. So our direct service programs include Mission Vet Check that Lauren will describe in a minute. We have other veteran mental health programs where we do referrals. Military and Family Advocate Program, it's also a Lauren program. Our Hello Fresh Kit Distribution Program, and our Joseph P. Dwyer Peer Support Program. Just want to let you know that as the commissioner talked a little bit about the difficulty and the challenges of veterans self-identifying, you can only imagine the number of veterans who don't talk about mental health per se. And so our strategy in many cases is to try to draw that conversation out with the veterans. And there's different ways we're doing it. And so we're going to start with Mission Vet Check. Okay, Lauren, take it.
Hi, everyone. All right, so I'm going to tell you about Mission Vet Check. Mission Vet Check is a partnership that DVS has with New York Cares, where we leverage volunteers to make supportive check-in calls to our volunteers. And so during these calls, we express our gratitude, we have brief conversations, we check in with veterans, we provide resources such as food, housing, employment, mental health, all the other resources that DVS offers. In addition, we check in our veterans who may be in crisis. We have engaged with veterans who are actively suicidal. And so if this happens during our check-in calls, or we find a veteran that might be in an emotional crisis, we have them patched through to a crisis manager who de-escalates the situation and then connects them to mental health. So this is just a quick way to engage with our community who might not be familiar with the resources or just need an ear to listen to. Someone to talk to might be facing isolation. So that's what Mission Vet Check is. Our target population that we reach are veterans who have recently separated from the military. We are given a list of veterans who say that they're moving back to New York, and we call them to see if they have all their services set up prior to moving. We'd like to set them up with jobs and housing prior to their transition over. Additionally, we call anyone who's ever called DVS, just check in, make sure that your needs are met, or if there's any other services that we can provide. Our Mission Vet Check campaign this year has ran from November 2024, and we're at the end of it. It ends at the end of June this month. And we make calls every Wednesday from 2:30 to 4:30 and Thursday from 5 to 7. We also had a Memorial Day call-a-thon for Memorial Day weekend where we made calls on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of the weekend. And we reached over 5,800 veterans alone with over 300 referrals made. Currently, we have called throughout the whole campaign this year over 21,000 veterans, connecting them to resources as needed. If anyone is interested or would like to promote being a part of Mission Vet Check, you can go to nyc.gov/vet-check, and you can register to be a volunteer as we start our campaign again in this September. That's Mission Vet Check.
Okay. So the norm for accessing us besides Mission Vet Check is Mike's team, our benefit coordinators, and they are out. They are out in the community. They have their designated locations that we will talk about in a minute. During the course of conversation, there may be some linkages that are requested of us to link them to mental health programs. And Mike's team does that through our VetConnect system. Similarly, we have a housing and support services team, and they too meet many times with the homeless veterans, as well as near homeless veterans. And during that course of conversation, they too will make linkages for mental health programs. So that's kind of the norm that happens. Again, a lot of these service requests come through, our VetConnect online system, which is available, off of our website, or through phone calls to our office at 212-416-5250. So those are different, and you can opt into what type of programs you need, including mental health programs. The types of mental health organizations that we refer to, and I'm glad to see our VA friends are here today, but they are the VA vet centers. Would you like to just raise your hand, and Catherine, these are new, our VA. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here with us today. So there's the VA vet centers, there's the VA Women's Veterans Call Center, there's the VA caregiver support lines, there's Make the Connection from the VA. We also have counseling services that are non-VA, including Headstrong, the New York Presbyterian Military Family Wellness Center, the NYU Military Family Clinic, Hope for the Warriors is another group, and there's peer support resources like Guardian Revival, Wounded Warrior Project, Prove, and Vets for Warriors, as among some of the other organizations that we deal with on a basis. Okay, I'm giving this back to Laura. Okay, Laura. Talk about military family advocacy. Very exciting. Staten Island.
Yes. So one of our biggest challenges at DVS is identifying our veteran community. And so one of the trusted places where veterans identify themselves and engage with is their schools, the schools that their children are in. So DVS created an initiative between New York City Public Schools and the Department of Veteran Services to designate one trained public school personnel. And that can be a guidance counselor, that can be a parent advocate or a social worker, a teacher, even an assistant principal, who's that designated point of contact for all military families in that school community. And so through this initiative, we have found several military families who we did not know about originally. In addition, we've also found that this program has reached veterans outside of the school community. So whether they're, maybe the grandfather of the teacher or the school crossing guard, we found that this community outreach has reached far beyond even the borders of our schools. So the goal for this program is to identify military families through public schools, therapeutically engage and understand their needs. We hold 2 trainings a year for military cultural competency for these individuals at the schools. And then we connect them to resources that DVS offers. And additionally, we ask them to hold an event that reduces stigma within their school community. So what does that mean? We ask them, so oftentimes the notions that we get about veterans, we get from the media, right? So often broken veterans or veterans that are overly aggressive or violent. And so we'd like to break down that stigma. So we ask schools to include veterans into various activities, maybe include them in a career day, or have them read to younger children, or have a resource fair and include a veterans table. Our very own Paul Dietrich was featured at PS 26 in Staten Island as part of this event. Thank you, where he spoke to the 4th and 5th grade about his experience. That was great. Thank you so much, Paul. And so through this program was started last year, and we piloted in Staten Island where we were able to include 55 schools in the program. And we identified 272 military families. And even through this work, we were able to get a lot done. We've had veterans, for example, we had a veteran who recently lost his leg through a training accident, and he couldn't walk his son to the bus stop 5 blocks away. And working with the school, we were able to move the bus stop to the corner where he could see his child, just to make it easier to put him on the school bus every day. We had a veteran grandfather who, through a series of unfortunate accidents, had custody of his 5-year-old grandchild, and he didn't know how to take care of her. And we were able to connect them through a grandparent program at Department for the Aging that helps support him in taking care of her needs. So we've really done really solid, great work through this program. This year, we were able to expand the program to all schools and cities and boroughs, not cities, sorry, all boroughs and all schools. So far, we have 165 schools this year that are included in the program. We have all the schools within District 20. That's the district around Fort Hamilton. We have District 31 on Staten Island. We have the New Visions High School District, including District 13, 10, 15, and 17 as well. So that's another program we have. This is how we engage with our military families. Yes. Sure.
I did attend the pilot at the meetings and it was great, but would it be possible, for those who don't know, we run the service member and veteran task force. And I would love to be able to bring them into the task force. So at some point, if you could give me a contact, I would like to make an invitation.
Sure. This is the famous Pride from Staten Island performing provider system. It taught us all about social determinants of health, which is my segue into my next segment here. Okay, Mike.
I have a question before you.
Sure.
The military family advocate program, you mentioned Staten Island. Schools on Staten Island are engaged in this right now.
We have 55 schools. I don't know off the top of my head, I could.
Are
give
they
you
on
a-
Staten Island?
Yeah,
Okay.
55 schools are on Staten Island.
All right, can I get that information?
Sure.
Second thing is, it says, designate one trained public school personnel. What are they trained in and who are those people and how are they getting trained?
So we hold 2 trainings a year for these individuals. The principal is in charge of designated who that point of contact will be. So whoever they feel would most fit the role, it could be a guidance counselor, a social worker, an assistant principal, a teacher, it's whoever the school community feels necessary. And we train that individual to learn about the challenges that military families face. You know, they're moving, the impacts of the spouse, the impacts of the children, and how they can engage with them and then connect them to resources.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions before we go on? Food insecurity is considered another social determinants factor with respect to possible suicide ideation. And we've addressed that going on over 40 years. We pack every Wednesday 2,000 HelloFresh food kits. HelloFresh is a food box organization that contributes $24,000 worth of food to us every week. And we have developed a network. We pack our kits over at the Campaign Against Hunger in Canarsie, at a warehouse in Canarsie. We work with Kazar Logistics, which is an affiliate of Amazon that helps us deliver to 20 different organizations, along with Black Wings for Social Justice. We celebrated our 2 million meal packing in April, in early April. And anybody who wants to come and pack with us on a Wednesday from about 9 a.m. to noon, please let me know, because we're always looking for other people to support those particular efforts. But we believe that this is also, we would consider this one of our suicide prevention programs, besides which the food is really nice. And that's really.
But
Okay.
Ellen, the packing still happens in Brooklyn?
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so our favorite topic at the moment is the Dwyer program. We're actually in the process of birthing it. Just to answer quickly Paul's question and Mike's question is that we issue a request for payment. We actually aren't the people that write the check, as much as I would love to do that. I don't. I keep my checkbook at home these days in many cases, but I will tell you that the Financial Information Services Agency, better known as FISA, F-I-S-A, are the people that actually issue the check. So the request went over and it is being, it takes them about 2 to 3 weeks for them to issue the check. And it'll be done electronically, so it should be an immediate payment into the account. I would track it, and if you don't get it, please feel free to contact me and we will try to do a follow-up, but I believe that request went over the end of May. So you're probably in the timeline in order to receive it. I hope that answers that portion of the question. So the Dwyer program is state funded. We've received an allocation each year. It's taken us quite a while for us to be able to issue an RFP, for the RFP to be evaluated. The good news is that we've made this decision, and to some extent on the basis of recognizing how we need to get the money out to our community. We went ahead and we issued, at this moment in time, we've gotten over 30 applications for what we call micro grants, which are grants up to $20,000. We have a lot of different organizations that are recipients. Right now, I can tell you about the 12 because I know those were the ones that we requested to get to be issued already. Some of it includes a martial arts program that's going to happen in Harlem. We have a veteran yoga project that is happening over in Fort Hamilton for the active duty as well as for the families over there, as well as for the veterans. American Legion Post 398, which also happens to have a great jazz club, just to give you the heads up, and is doing a photography program. Campaign Against Hunger is getting some money to do a culinary arts program in the Queens, Brooklyn area. Exit 12 is a fabulous dance movement, a group that is doing workshops, and they're doing them in Bronx, Manhattan, Queens. Hope for the Warriors is doing a peer support program. We have Veterans Rebuilding Life that's doing a creative arts program in Astoria, Queens. Aquila Theater is doing an acting program in Manhattan, in the Bronx. Move to Motivate is a movement program that's going to happen in Manhattan. Staten Island Performing Providers doing the yoga program here. Thank you. The New York Film Academy is doing film production. And I believe Colonel Jack Jacobs is also going to work with us on that program. Community Service Society is doing a program here in Staten Island for the retired senior veterans volunteers program folks, also a mindfulness type of program. So those are the 12, plus Fordham University is hosting a pickleball team program. Everybody's invited, and all the veterans are invited to participate in all of these particular programs. This is our way of health-seeking behavior, increasing socialization, reducing loneliness, reducing isolation, and we're hoping that this will be a very effective way and a fun way for veterans to interact, build camaraderie, and really develop and actually reduce suicide. So just to give you the heads up, as our friends from the VA can tell us, that there was a very strong effort to roll out 988 this year. This is an opportunity it's a 3-digit number. It kind of hopes to replace the New York City well number. If you select one, you go into the VA Veteran Crisis Lifeline. But it's also the major function is to divert the 911 calls to trained crisis counselors. It's been a very effective program so far. I don't have separate statistics for veterans at this time, but I could tell you that almost 1 million calls to date have been received by crisis counselors. And they've also received texts and chats of 140,000. In addition, when in fact the call is not enough, you can make a request through our Department of Health and Mental Health for what they call mobile crisis units, where actually crisis counselors are dispatched along with an EMS worker, a social worker, out to the homes and the workplaces of those veterans that are in crisis. And that seems to be another effective way of trying to, again, reduce suicide among the veteran population. I'm going to let Lauren talk a little bit about the programs that we're doing for providers. So, take it away, Lauren.
So we're going to talk about the Veterans Mental Health Coalition. We have regular meetings of mental health providers, clinicians, advocates, researchers, and organizational leaders to meet and discuss various topics within mental health, modalities, best practices, legislation, and policies, including sharing resources. So traditionally, the format of the meeting is a psychoeducation piece for about an hour, and then we share resources related to the topic. Some of the topics that we have discussed is sleep and how it affects your mental health. And that was held by Dr. Wilfred Pigeon, who is part of the VA, who's a researcher at the VA. We've also talked about dementia, PTSD, and aging veterans. We've talked about traumatic brain injury, and we will have our next meeting on July 10th, where we will talk about military sexual trauma. And that will be hosted by Dr. Fontaine, who is a clinician at the VA. Should I go on to? Yeah. Okay. So additionally, we also have a provider program where we offer military cultural competency. So almost half of all veterans are using non-VA healthcare providers, and this is our effort to give our non-VA healthcare systems military cultural competency so that they can better assist veterans. In these trainings, we discuss basic military concepts such as military branches, what life is like in the military structure, values, hierarchy, and key terminologies. We additionally go into mental health concepts that are more common, such as PTSD, depression, and suicide ideation. And then we talk about more unique military mental health concepts, such as thriving in hyper-masculine environments, understanding MST, understanding what moral injury is, understanding institutional betrayal and how that affects care. And additionally, what combat stress is like, and how do you treat someone with combat stress. We also go over all the implications for clinicians and staff. And then we provide available resources. Something else that we do is we tailor presentations specifically for the organizations that we are working with. So we have a separate presentation for clinical staff. We have different presentations for administrative and intake staff because their roles are different, right? So what they would need to learn would be different. It's okay. So the trainings, we also held last year a training where we partnered with BNS. It was a 90-minute training, and we offered 1 CE credit for any social worker that attended. We had a little under 100 people that attended that session. We also partner with other city agencies, H+H, our hospital, a city hospital network, and community-based partners where we've offered this presentation. We've presented this presentation numerous times. And so that's our effort in educating our community on how to best work with veterans. Yes.
Have you done it with Rumsey, Richmond University Medical Center? Okay, let me connect you with the psychiatry chief.
That would be great, Mike. Thank you. That would be great.
So again, to review, the way you can access for mental health services is get onto our website and click on our Vet Connect NYC Services tab. And you could, there's a form that one could fill out and complete, and it goes straight over to Mike's team, actually. We also have veteran resource centers, and the one in Staten Island is actually at Staten Island Borough Hall. Joe List, who you all may know, okay, is there on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Right? So that's another source. Again, we have a telephone number, 212-416-5250. And we ask that you stay connected, for you to sign up get onto our website. That is nyc.gov/veterans. We have a weekly newsletter that has chock full of information. Our 3-person communications team is out there really trying to hustle up the latest information on events and special events and programs that are happening for veterans in New York City. And that's usually published in the newsletter. And then, of course, we're on social media, which is another way to connect. If you have any questions, just Lauren's email is ldmello@veterans.nyc.gov. You can always get me at EGREELEY@veteransnyc.gov. And we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
We have a question in the chat, Ellen.
Yep.
Will DVS be putting this list? I think, Joe, you meant the Dwyer participants. Will DVS be putting this list out online?
Yeah.
Or in their newsletter so that all veterans can see and participate?
Actually, it's right now we have several of those already listed on our website. And yes, we are going to be doing a press release about all these different programs.
No, that's on NYC.gov/BetWire. It's on that page.
On that page.
NYC.gov/BetWire.
Right.
You want to repeat that? I don't know if the microphone could pick it.
Oh, nyc.gov/.
BetWire.
Bedwire, yeah, BETDWYER. Yep.
Real quick, for the NYC schools that you're doing, are they in all the boroughs or just that?
All the boroughs.
So the question is, like, I'm giving an example, dealing with kids. The vet center is the greatest resource because they have family. So is there a point of contact for each person? Because I'm being honest, I'm in the Bronx, never heard about this. So how do we get connected?
Yeah, so we market the program to superintendents and they pass it along to principals. Principals have the option to opt in. They don't, this program is not mandated, so they're not forced into having a military point of contact. So if the school opts in, they have it. If they don't, then they don't. But we invite all schools, regardless of if they have a point of contact, that they can always reach back to DVS. So we've done training for schools that are not part of the program, just so they know how to refer back to resources for military families.
One more thing,
Sure.
the resource center. So I got a girl in the Bronx, she's great, but I can't refer to other places because is there a way, a special number to contact for these resources? I know that they're Monday or they're Wednesday, but
That's the resource center. You can always call 416-5250, 212-416-5250. Michael has a news person who answers telephone and records the information and passes it along.
but they make appointments too for things, right?
Yes.
So get back on the schools, okay? So you're looking opt in, okay? So the first question is, how do you know that they opt in? Will they send a note to you saying, we're gonna provide that? And secondly, that program is for military families, kids that are attending that school, to have a resource to go to get information about veteran services. So it's sort of a channel. Is that what we're talking about? Correct. Okay.
I'm with the American Legion, Commissioner Hawaii. There's a lot, we fund grants for organizations that are looking to do mental health and suicide prevention throughout the state. We actually issue grants. I happen to be one that is on that board that reviews them and authorizes the prepayment of those things. Do you look through any of these programs that are upstate? You know, there's a whole bunch of organizations throughout the state that do mental health. So you partner with them and refer to them, or?
State organizations, Guardian Revival, for instance, okay, that is very active in Putnam, for instance. They are going to be a Dwyer recipient, and they're going to be doing outdoor RX type programs as in New York City, though, not in upstate.
Like Saratoga War Horses, that was another big one.
Yeah, they have it, but we do, Advice Therapy is one of the programs that we will be funding. We have at least 3 different organizations that we're going to fund out. That's very popular. Okay. Yeah, but thank you. No, and there's also the Dwyer, we have a coalition, a statewide coalition. In fact, we were just up there in Albany not long ago, meetings to people, and we're being evaluated by the Albany for New York State Office of Mental Health. So yeah, there's that piece of it too.
Would there be a way to get the contacts for the schools that have opted into the school program? Because Frank here runs our children and youth program, so he would want to know what schools on Staten Island, other than PS 26.
In addition, if you have any information that you'd like me to blast out to them, I can send out emails on behalf as well.
I mean, part of this is all about leveraging each other, right? We have our federal and our state friends here. We have some of our providers that are here. I mean, part of it is it's the whole community working together and leveraging each other in order to really help our veteran and military families. So.
How can we champion to get you to help to get these schools into the program? Is there something that we can do to to do that.
You can speak to your local schools and tell them about the program. I mean, I market the program regularly throughout the year. Schools, sometimes they feel like maybe it might be more additional work. Sometimes they just need a push for their school community. If enough parents advocate for it, they'll join our program. So I think the best thing is advocacy. Speak to the principal, say, and sometimes it's because they don't know the military members in their school community. So they're like, we don't have anyone. And then when they send out surveys, they find out that they might have 10 that they didn't know about. So I think it's really about them understanding that they might have people that could benefit from this program that they're just not aware of, sorry.
Feel free to contact us. We're happy to follow up with you. Okay, any more questions, Mike? We're good?
There's no more questions in the chat that I
Okay.
see.
Okay.
I just have a question. This goes way back to, you were talking about the vet check. Hey, I didn't know about what that was. But you said that you've been able to contact 21,000 vets. How are you actually contacting these veterans? And they're coming out of the service, they want to go back to their families and work and things like that. They're kind of busy. I think a lot of them don't even know that the programs are just one. How do you reach out?
So we do get DFGs from community for those veterans who return to New York City. For those, we clean the list and we take the telephone numbers and we put them into a different Excel spreadsheet. We hand them on over to New York Cares that organizes it, and those calls get made that primarily from that. Additionally, we also have additional lists from veterans that we have worked with through our that have called us, and we've rendered some level of service to them. So we recycle that information and give them a call back too.
The different sources. Another one is we all. I don't know you guys. I have a veteran on my license. Recently, the state started to share that information with the New York State Department of Veteran Services. We have a data sharing agreement with New York State Department of Veteran Services, so that's another, source of data for us as far as people to reach out to. Another more active talks with the Department of Finance, so that for those who are using the property tax exemption, you know who those folks are. You may reach out to them too. So we're just getting it from different places to try to just reach out and call. Okay.
Ellen, I know that when you got that list from DOD, there weren't any Staten Island folks. I'm just coming back. Are you able to, if there are any?
Yes, so just before I answer that, so with that data, also separate mentioning that check, what we also do is email outreach as well to just promote different programs that are out there, as well as our offerings in terms of employment, education, entrepreneurship, and some of the larger events that we do.
Yeah.
And with those lists, we have seen people from Staten Island, we actually have seen referrals come in from people from Staten Island. So there definitely is that visibility there. There's another type of data that we're also receiving where someone's indicating that they're getting ready to come out. And that gives more accurate information in terms of what their contact information is. So we're working with that more proactively and we'll have more information about borough specific even before they get out. So definitely always making sure Staten Island's in that conversation.
And that's what the DD's story is. Folks fill out saying I'm leaving anywhere from next month until it could be a year, 2 years from now. And we're trying to get a better handle on that to impose our master that data.
Is Unwood Ops mix?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And we actually have a bunch of different data tools now. One which I did our outreach to our service members. They indicate where they want to go. So we piloted a couple of different organizations where we make that direct contact to and on the process. You have a question?
I don't know whether to ask the commission or yourselves.
You want all our.
It's like, this is my concern for the veterans that need health insurance. And I'm just recently enrolling in the Brooklyn VA hospital and I'm enrolled. So how could we, or how can I, try to put, like, I was considered 8D, which is in a very high category for co-pays and things of that nature. And you have to go through a process to try to show that you need to be 40% disabled in order for you to reduce those co-pays. And if they told me to go to physical therapy 3 times a week, I have to pay $150 each week for that. It's unaffordable. Is there a way that we could somehow lower the cost of co-pays or change the status to where it's only 10% where you have 0 copay, to make it easier on the veterans? I don't know
where
where
to
to
say, I
say.
would say first crack at that is our representative from Veterans Health Insurance real quick, yeah.
Hey, you wanna do this one, or you want to do it?
Okay.
It's not there.
Hey,
So, sorry,
You gotta see that, yeah.
Everybody, look, we all vets. Some of us
Sam, could you
retire.
move just a little bit so the camera can?
So all of us retire. Some of us retire with a pension, some of us retire with bonus Social Security. So it's based on income.
Yeah.
So now I have a vet, he's a Korean vet. He never told me he was Korean vet, and he didn't have it on his own DD 14 years, a letter that he was a Korean. Because of that, you did it. For you, your AG, that means you're making a little too much income,
Yes.
but every time, Social Security, I'm not saying you're getting that now, but if you're paying
I am.
Medicare,
Yes,
what they call it,
AUB.
then that's a subtraction you could do. Everything you put on the VA form, 1010 EC or ECR, you gotta put your medical bills. If you go co-pays, all that stuff add up. Are you married?
Yes.
So you and your wife go get sick.
Yes.
All that has to be under deduction. So there's a place where you put your money, how much you make, and there's deductions. What people are not realizing in the application, one says Social Security, one says income. You gotta be exactly where you put that money in. So that we could be, see me offhand, and then me and Katie will take care of you. But there is a way to deduct it. The question is, were you a city or state employee?
Yes.
So you do have, so there's a catch-22.
That's right.
There's a catch-22. You got the healthcare from the city and state.
Correct.
But I'm also have my own insurance. Because I have, we'll call it out, Aetna, and I'm a VA, every time I go to the VA, that's not service connected, whatever word, right? That's not service connected. If I go for my arm, you're gonna take it out of my insurance. It doesn't come out of my pocket, so I'm over 70%. You don't need 100%. You need 70% is the magic number. For you, I will talk to you offhand,
Which I'm 0%.
and I will guide you with that. And we have people here that does claims, and we'll get you connected with something. Thank you.
We had another question before here, but when you were in the tunnel.
So, I guess for about the last 15 years, so I've been the point of contact for the raised flags for the American Legion on Staten Island. I used to order 25 gross of flags and distribute them to the post. We saw that we really didn't need as many flags because some of the posts have disbanded or whatever the case may be. So we scaled that back down to 20. Some of the posts are complaining that they didn't have enough because they're picking up the slack of some of these other posts. This year, that number, that 20 gross, got cut by about 45%, down to 11. My understanding is that part of the reason for that is that the allocation of the flags for the VSOs were given to non-VSOs, the Boy Scouts.
Placebo.
Well,
Placebo.
yeah, which is a 501c3. And what happened invariably was that, so for example, I'll use my father's example. I went to his grave. There's no flag. I'm not sure what method these non-VSO organizations are using to decide where they're going to put the flags, whose grave they're putting them on, or what they're even doing with them. A lot of, I mean, you know, Jimmy's post, I mean,
2 years ago, I did 3,000 flags from the Radiant Cemetery. I normally get 7 to 10 boxes from here. This year, I had to buy 1,000 flags because some other place requested 50 boxes.
I guess the point of my question really is, what can we do to control that so that the VSOs get the first crack at the flags, number that we understand that we need. I provided a list of all the cemeteries that and I wasn't asked for that this year for whatever reason. I don't know if they kept that on file or whatever. But in the past, I've provided a list of the cemeteries that we provide. How do we ensure that?
I'm gonna pass some codes, got this, I can ask, who you work with before from our agency, so I know who you working with, who you with? You remember, was this back to the old Aneza Don days, or was this,
No,
are we talking
this
about,
year.
this is Nicole Jordan Jones, I want to make sure I know who you were working with before.
I'd have to look at the.
Don't worry about it, I was just curious, just trying to get, because this is like a, that's one you can handle, yeah.
It was
Just curious.
Nicole.
It was Nicole before?
So-
Yeah.
In all fairness, Nicole and I spoke because we both took a very big hit on people yelling at us about this work. So we said that we'll work together, making a form, making sure the American Legion is included in exactly what addresses should be at what things. Because I went to pick up some of them for the fire department, which we always get from you, and we wound up giving our flags to them because they didn't have it. And I went and bought with my own money, and I'll show you my credit card, flags, so we have them. Which is fine, I have no problem.
I know who's gonna take this, she's the person, almost, I have to say, us, one of the pieces in my mind is to make sure we get a handle on what the demand is well in advance. Because when we put the order out, and then all of a sudden, as you get just a week or two before, even 2-3 weeks before, folks say, hey, I need flags, it's too late for us, through our procurement mechanism, to go catch up, and the prices keep going up, especially if you want made in America. And so we like, I'll defer to Nicole and I ask the rest of us, just know that in my mind, a lot of it is about, let's make sure we got a handle on what the demand is well in advance, so we can put it through our own procurement processes and have it set. And we've got to manage people to avoid situations where it's just 1, 2, 3 weeks out, and someone's like, I need ton of flags, but we've already blocked this stuff in. It's so hard for us, your government, it's hard for us, the city, to turn them down. I just want to say.
Right, that's not what it actually happened, what you're saying is, they're the American Legion, they're the VFW, they're the organizations that normally put the flags on the bridges. Apparently, there's other people, and in all fairness, she didn't know, or I wouldn't know either. People have called up and portrayed themselves as veteran organizations instead of an affiliated organization, which is totally different, as you know. So that's where part of the problem came.
Yeah, so first I just want to say hi, guys. I'm actually from Staten Island. We have anyone who graduated in New York here? Anyone?
Nope.
Or Richmond?
Port Richmond.
Yeah.
So I was with the flag, so we definitely, after the night speaking, just thinking about that, we're gonna have a little bit of a different process for this will be starting in September, where we're able to really connect with everyone. I will say we support the year with some of an active duty green, who's helped us with this flag process, done a great job with trying to coordinate. We have a lot of different stakeholders in this community, and we understand that there's some stuff that didn't go wrong. I will say that Staten Island itself did get the largest allocation of flags that we had, which we calculate by the number of flags, not by the number of boxes. So I believe it was around 13,000 flags went to Staten Island. And there's some of the other boroughs actually didn't request any. So we definitely have learned from this experience. This is my first time doing this project, and I think we can really, for the next time, make sure that we have all the information there. I will say we did have our team call and ask for different cemeteries, and those organizations were able to provide where the flags were going. The allocation cut everyone equally, so that the way that we looked at it was, one, to make sure everyone got some flags. And that's why we cut everyone's allocation by a certain percentage. If you requested a certain number that was small enough, they didn't cut you. But everyone above that threshold did get cut. So we have learned from this experience. We are going to be putting out different forms where you'll be able to indicate in September what is needed, so that we also have time on the procurement side to make sure that we're getting enough flags to be able to put out there. And there are overwhelming amount of requests, seeing what we can do from our end to increase the number that we get.
I think the tough thing for us is gonna be being very firm, just let everybody know this is the deadline. Please let us know by this date what your request is. Let us know. And when we get beyond that, it's gonna be when you get into April or just May, and folks are coming out of the woodwork, like, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. It's hard to be able to say no. We want to help everybody, but the issue with us is we'll be in a situation next year, I guarantee it, where it's like door number one is all the folks did it right, got back to us in time. Give them exactly what they allocated. Versus door number two, us having to cut everybody on account of someone who comes in late. So we've got to try to balance this thing. So just know that this is something we're trying to account for. Even if it's about, okay, let's cut a request then based on what people give us, and let's try to lever up a little bit to kind of account, but you've got to get the word out to folks, be disciplined with letting us know earlier, because this is such a moving, target, especially with the prices going up, or you know, if you're caught in a spot where it's hard to get those Made in America flags, and just can't have people coming to us at the last minute, so we just encourage people, let us know, we'll put it out there as far as, hey, this season, tell us by this date, but just, even if you wanna let us know right now, hey, look, this is my count, just lean in on this, is what I'm saying, because I think that's gonna be, for us, getting through that season where people just come out of the woodwork. Even this year, we had folks coming up, as late as, what was the latest request you got? Like, yeah, so it's kind of, and that's, you know, yeah.
And I'm gonna be my next question, how can we get this process started sooner? Because if you run into a situation where you just can't afford to, you know, for whatever reason, you can't get us the flags that we say we need, so that we can go out, I mean, the borough president said, if he had known, he could have gotten us flags. Well, you know, it was a daylight and a dollar short, right, so, you know, nothing could have happened there. We could have gone to like maybe the.
We gotta talk about some of the ops people, so we figure out how to reverse engineer as far as when we can put a good deadline out where it's kind of like, I need it now, it's something where it's, you know, towards it, but enough time for us to do our procurement piece.
Yeah, and I just also want to add with that, that from our end, with the procurement process, that was the reason why we were held up a little bit there. I will say that we did try to reach out through email, and there were some organizations that weren't as responsive. And then that's when they called us, so we reached out, so email is also crucial in this. Another barrier with this project, and I know Linda saw this as well, is that, you know, we are a small team and our ability to deliver out is also something that we have, you know, getting the boxes out, getting them actually delivered. So if there's any support there that's provided, that would be amazing. We do want to thank the plantation who actually ended up, the union representative is a veteran himself who lives here on Staten Island, as well as my boyfriend who's a part of sanitation, helped us get these deliveries out there. So that's how grassroots that this was. So the delivery piece is also something that we get a little bit easier for us to get those flags out.
Thank you. First and foremost, the fact that you take the effort to put these flags out there is tremendous. What an awesome thing that you're so dedicated to doing every year. And I'm just curious, is it okay to share the budget shortfall that was this year, so we can maybe try to plan for next year as a community and maybe for ways to have money for it?
Those numbers, okay, I think for us, it was we using the dollar amounts we've gotten before, we have to use contract gifts. We can't just do this through discretionary not spending. And so when you do a contract, though, it requires more lead time. So we had caught in a situation where, okay, we've assumed this will be the amount based on what we had in the past, let's go and contract this out. Then all of a sudden, we've got folks coming out of the woodwork and it gets out of control. And so that's why I say we've got to communicate. So what's necessarily about, it does cost, but it wasn't about us not having the money, it was about we've already gone through the entire procurement process for a certain amount, but then all of a sudden, you get hit with so many other folks who you reach out to over and over again and say, hey, what do you want? Nothing back from them. Then they come out of the woodwork and say, hey, give me this, you know, and so, because there are more people are utilizing flags. For us, it's a communication community and having that feedback loop. I don't know.
And there was something else in this too, that, you know, we want to make sure that we're using the MWB vendor to get these flags that they're made in America. And one of the issues too is just shipping. So that was another issue where, besides the contract stuff, they also, by the time they would get here, was an issue. That process itself took so long. And I think that we also have seen where community partners may say that they want to be involved and donate, and we run into an issue there because it doesn't always happen. So we understand the frustration there. I think this is a learning experience. Like I said, I think we definitely know where to go from here, and we appreciate everyone who should be understand this project is so important to us as we talk about transition to being veterans and then to our veteran cemetery. So we want to just make sure that we're honoring everyone and doing this in a way where the entire community is involved.
And it called for pretty many, but the barrier wasn't the money. It was about us knowing the dollar amount in town to be able to get a handle. So it wasn't about, like, the dollar amount wasn't the thing that got us action. It was about, I just got to know, we need to know the entire kitty so we can be right with folks. And we got to have people knowing you can't come to us like, you know, in mid-May asking for flags for Memorial Day is May 26th.
Jim, in all fairness to the borough president, know that he gave, I believe the gentleman's name is Pablo, he gave him over 250 flags.
He did.
They did buy them, so they did, everybody tried to help out, we tried to help out, they tried to help out, you know, but as you know, we only have so much money in each of the budgets that are allowed to allocate for certain things too. So maybe we can brainstorm and figure out something with the city council.
we're getting close to the council too, this data sharing. In other words, I can see situations where we're in better cahoots with them about just, if we know this district is gonna need X number of flags, we talk to that council member, because we're just gotten much closer to them on counting data stuff. So there's a lot of good, it's not, the money is not it's a lot of money. That's not the issue. It's about just us managing everybody, as far as us managing, our community and vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't care, shouldn't say I don't care. I mean, if the VSOs get the flags that they request and they do their thing, and then, the Boy Scouts or Rolling Thunder, whomever, if they are asking for flags, I would just be curious as to what are they doing with them, where are they putting them, and what process are they using to place them? We have Graves registration where we know what cemeteries we go to. Like Jim had said, Moravian Cemetery, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but I mean, you could get lost in this cemetery, that's how big it is. Who's doing what, there's a lack of coordination with some of these organizations. And you see what was saying that they're doing some of this stuff, but quite honestly, I have my own doubts about how that's being.
Well, you should go get their flags to Rolling Thunder.
Yeah, I don't care if Rolling Thunder does it, as long as every veteran's grave gets a flag. I mean, who
And
does
that
the
did not
work?
happen this year.
Yeah, who does the work? I don't care, as long as the work is getting done, that's my concern.
I will say from our perspective on this, we did ask for a different list of cemeteries that they weren't putting it out, so from our knowledge, we obviously assume that that's the honor system, that they're actually going there. I mean, I think that more broad, but that definitely is something that in our initial outreach we did ask.
So folks telling us these are going in these graves. We haven't taken that next step of investigating this. We haven't, that's a whole other piece of this that just, I pray we don't have to get in that kind of game,
Yeah, because there's a lot of these little tiny cemeteries, you go right down 50 Boulevard, there's a cemetery right down the end of the road. Did anybody do those flags? I don't think so. There's a couple of Civil War cemeteries scattered about. Nobody did those because they just didn't have the flags to do them, does Rolling Thunder or the Boy Scouts, do they even know that these cemeteries exist? You got some of the legacy posts, they've been doing these things for years, and then I have to tell them, look, I'm sorry, I can only give you one box. I know you've gotten 3 in the past, but we don't have them, so, pick the ones you want to do, what can I tell them? And then I look like the bad guy, like, that I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
we're optimistic we'll have a better handle on this next year.
I mean,
We're hoping, we got.
I'll be happy to work with you in any way, shape, or form, whatever we need to do.
I'm gonna appreciate that, because that's a crucial piece of this, the contact information. Especially being that, we had different staff members work on this in the past, and I think, they had some contacts and connections, and then we're working off of those lists, so I think also updating that information. So I'd love to take down your email just to make sure that we can cross reference and that we have that, because that's also a key part of this, is just maintaining that communication from, our plan is September to start taking that information in.
Nicole, can I ask a question? Maybe you could take on right on this. Every one of your American commanders, correct?
Say that again?
All the American legions in every borough
Every
have,
post.
they have commanders. And then you have one person in charge of each borough, correct?
Well, I can't speak for the other boroughs, but I can speak for Staten Island.
Yeah.
In the past, I was the contact point for all the American Legion posts on Staten Island.
Paul and I work together, we're not far from each other, and we're both good with emails. We send emails out, and every one of your American Legions specifically send her an email or telephone number. And then that form we spoke about, sit down and make a form up. And we're both good with PDFs and things in Excel. And then you could solve that problem of American Legions and VFWs get the flags first.
Well, I don't know if this is the right forum for that, but it shouldn't be up to individual posts to determine what their needs are. It should be centralized, because you got some posts that they say, I need 1,000 flags, and what do you do with it? Well, we decorate the highway with them. That's not what these flags are for, right? So we need to be careful of that.
I just text you code.
Also to that point, that's another thing that happens, where, those individual posts may be reaching out as well. So then for us, that just add more to that pile where we have to cut more, because we're getting those individual requests, but they're coming from the same place anyway. We just no way of knowing that they're coming from the same place.
Right.
So that's just something also where we need to work that piece of it out, because people do reach out on their own and will reach out separately, and that affects those full number of flags that will be going out.
Again, I can't speak for all the other organizations, but as far as the American Legion, I can tell them, all the folks at our county meeting, if you're gonna need flags, you need to let me know what you need. You need to tell me what cemeteries you're doing, and then I'll place the order. And it's.
That's the easiest way to do it.
And really, that's the way we've done it for years, and this year, I'm not quite sure what happened, but the fact that we're addressing it, I mean, that's a godsend,
Well,
right?
that makes it simpler, then it's just one person rather than the 8 posts.
So this year we did have a Microsoft. I still would still getting out, one making the phone calls, filling out that form. I think for this year, we want to have a paper form so that everyone has a date where to get it back to, and make sure we have hard copies of everyone's requests. We'll translate that into the virtual world as well, but we want to make sure that we have those paper copies so that we just have everything down and everything is figured out. Because we don't want that to be a barrier in someone requesting or requesting late.
If you tell me what you need, I'll make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right, in the absence of any more questions, go ahead, Commissioner.
One thing I wanted to say about I was talking about the city council, just one other thing I wanted to add, if it's okay, I was saying while I was on the way here. Something else that stood out, we mentioned in the hearing, when you look at the World War II generation, 39% of those folks were volunteers. Everybody else was a drafted. Vietnam, 75% of combat troops in Vietnam were volunteers. Everyone else was drafted. You fast forward this most recent generation, 100% are volunteers. One idea is that a lot of this generation, younger veterans, the all volunteer generation, who's come from an all volunteer military, doesn't feel like you get out there like, why am I joining that American Legion post, that VFW, that DAV post, especially with a lot of work it's delivering services, the government should be doing this stuff. I shouldn't go to a Legion post to go and try to help someone get their claim. The government's supposed to do this. It's almost a feeling of, I don't think it's a negative way, but it's almost like an entitlement. Like, hey, look, I gave of myself in this way. They better do right by me. And we think that's another thing that kind of impacts this self-identification. I just wanted to mention that. So yeah, just one other thing to add.
Just put out there as well, the next iteration of our survey, for that focus group with those who don't identify, feel free to reach out to me if there's anyone that you know that you think would like to be included. We'd love to have them join us. I'll put my email, it's nrolando@veterans.nyc.gov. Please feel free to reach out. Once you can just talk about what we're doing with the survey and where we're going.
Yeah, thanks so much. A healthcare thing so Ellen and Lauren talked a lot about food and wellness, mental health. Something else with healthcare where we try to click straight up and down the pain. We're not, Katie, we're not, Sammy with the Veteran Health Administration, but we try to help if a veteran family is trying to put hands on not the VA piece, but the other stuff, as far as Medicare, Medicaid, that kind of stuff. We have something called the Get Covered NYC Vet program, where we have folks from the city, from the health department, talk to the veteran family and say, okay, look, I hear what you're saying, when you need VA health care, let me put you in touch with our friends at the Harbor or at Bronx VA. Everything else, you got a family member who may not fit in that bucket. Let's help you sign up for, New York City health stuff. And so that's something we're doing. It's nyc.gov/covered-NYC-vet. Because that's something else. If we come across somebody where it's not as simple as, oh, it's just a VA problem, but they need healthcare, period. It's a way to connect the dots. So I just wanted to add that. So the great presentation, Ellen. That's all I got.
Okay, the only thing I wanted to flag, the representative from Councilman Frank Morano's office did want to note that regarding the city council funding, the discretionary funding, he does also suggest that groups reach out to your local council member during or before January, not just bidding online, because having a face-to-face with the agency or group requesting funding is extremely helpful. That's just a note for everybody. For any additional contact information, you can reach out to us at NYC Veterans Advisory Board @gmail.com. We look forward to seeing you at the next session. And thank you everyone for attending. We will close out this session.